Welcome to Photoshop Killer Tips, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. Here's your host, Matt Kloskowski.
I've got another neat layer style tip for you here. I've got a type layer here. I'm just going to double click in that blank area on the layer palette to open up the layer style dialog. I'm going to go add a stroke to this, okay? And the stroke is black, so let's change it to maybe a blue color just so we can see that there is indeed a stroke there, okay? And under fill type, you can change this to gradient, which you might have known, which just applies just a gradient onto it. You can see it goes from green to red or whatever gradient that I choose, it goes on along here. Okay, well, let's take this a step further. I'm going to choose blue to white because that's my foreground and background color. Then I'm going to change the style to something that you'll never find anywhere else in Photoshop but here, called Shape Burst. Okay, so when I change that, it takes the gradient, and instead of the gradient being linear from white to blue, it takes the gradient and it wraps it around the shape. Okay, it's kind of bursting out of the shape. So now let's come up here to the gradient editor. In fact, let's go ahead and click reverse so we can see what's going on here. Here's the blue, here's the white. If I increase the size, you'll see it more. It goes from blue to white because that's what our gradient does. If we come in here and we edit the gradient and we add a couple of color stops here, so I add another blue one, and then I'll come over here and let's go ahead and change this one to white, and then I bring these together in the middle. So I have a very harsh transition. Let's bring that size down. And now what we get is the appearance of a double stroke or a multi-stroke type here. I can come in here and change the color overlay to something different. Okay, maybe we'll go with, let's just go with yellow, for example, here, or even an orange kind of a color. Okay, so take a look at what we have here. We have text, and then we have kind of a double stroke around this text because we've used a gradient, but instead of using a gradient for what we normally use it for, we edit that gradient and we just bring those color stops right in together, and it creates a very harsh transition, which is what gives us the ability to have that multi-stroke text. It all comes from just applying that one little style called Shape Burst.